one we with Chevy.
So it is really a statement for married people, not to turn to porn, but not to make their sex life boring. Same thing over and over and over. Oh gosh, do it on the fridge, do it on the stove, under the bed, somewhere about the place, man. The same old half there, limpy sex just wouldn't do.
So with the kids' question, right? Soon enough we will be venturing down that road, and we'd like to know what are some of the tools that you can help us with, or practices that would help us create a great sex life when we do have kids.
Right. So very important question, but I was saying your question is about 3 steps of the ladder. You have to begin not with when the kids arrive, but with pregnancy. Because different women, the pregnancy impact them differently, hormonally, physically, socially, mentally, and so on. And so you would find a young couple, their sexual experience begins to get affected during the pregnancy.
All right.
Some women, their breasts get very tender, and so don't touch me, don't think, they move at a swing. Some men go through sexual frustration.
Yeah.
There are some cases where for a woman, if the pregnancy is taking over her body, she begins to develop her own sense of insecurity of how I look to my husband. Some husbands have to look away for slimmer women. So there's all kind of dynamics inside there. And then of course, coming to the full trimester, you may not be able to practice the kind of sexual experience that you're used to. And if it's a difficult pregnancy, the doctor might say, hey, no more sex over this period of time. Now, pregnancy is not a sickness, you see, but some women experience sickness. And so you have to be sensitive to that. Let's say all things being equal, the child is born. That's another phase. We're talking about taking the child because you have breastfeeding.
Yeah.
You have cases, if it was a vaginal birth, the woman might be sore for a period of time, so there's no sexual intercourse in that kind of a way. And then there's the attachment and bonding with mommy and baby, where sometimes mothers forget they have a husband. It's my child, it's my child. And then some fathers get frustrated and they are told, what, you're jealous over the child, and so on. And then there's the intentional decision, where would the baby sleep? Would we have the baby in the room, or would we prepare another room for the baby? You see, so there's a range of stuff inside there. There are cases where some women may experience postpartum depression, which affects the whole dynamics, and she goes into a depression and the man is not understanding what's happening to his wife and so on and so forth. You see? So critical is not just simply saying children coming. It is the pregnancy, after the birth, and those early years. Then you can talk about labor. When a woman goes through labor, it's really labor. So after the child is delivered, she might be mentally, physically just exhausted. She don't even want to think about sex. And that could run on for quite a while. And the man is trying to manage, but oh God, this woman, she's stopping me from the sex. And some men say, I'm going outside.
So based on your experience in counseling, what are some of the things, talk to me, what are some of the things that I should look out for in that period? Because I've never been taught about these particulars.
Right. Well, that's why I was saying one size doesn't fit all.
Well, right.
You see? So I could tell you, look out for this or look out for that. It may not come at all. You see? But it's a sensitivity and awareness that things may not be the same. And so high conversation is needed. Talk to your husband, talk to your wife. Honey, this is what I'm going through. This is what I think. This is what are my needs. And backward and forward and stuff like that. And I challenge men to assist with taking care of the baby. Sometimes it's necessary just take up the baby away from mommy, walk the baby, feed the baby, and so mommy could just get back herself, regroup, and rest. All these things are critical and important. So when it comes down to the rearing of the child, when you think of it, children are at different stages in their life. So the challenges you experience with a toddler will be quite different from so it's age appropriate response.
Yeah.
That is what is critical. You cannot tell a toddler, look, come out of mommy bedroom, come out, them come in, them want to sleep. You watch a man that wait till the baby sleep, lift them up before they get a little sex. And they're having sex and they say, shh, don't even speak in tongues. Don't even speak in... See, so more. Then, if you have a sick child, that changes the dynamics also. But the mind might be preoccupied with the care of your child and not necessarily having sex. So I'm saying on a stage by stage, age by age basis, you have to be sensitive to the development of your children.
So, Pastor, I want to switch it up a bit. We're talking about children, right? This is a different type of toys. You're talking about children. This is a different type of toy in the bedroom.
Right.
Do you think it's permissive to have toys, that assistant in the bedroom between a couple?
What kind of toys are you talking about? Teddy bear?
No,
all right.
I said other kind of toys.
Well, all right. What toys will come under is paraphernalias, and that will go in the category of inanimate objects, to vibrating objects, battery-operated objects, or electronic objects, or you can go direct to pornography. So it's a whole range of possibilities inside there. Now, I would like to say in the Christian community, the jury is still out. But because of the pendulum swing, where some people go to the extreme to come back, I have developed my own very conservative position. And my conservative view is that every couple have the God-given capacity to find enough toys on each other's bodies. I want to repeat.
Go ahead.
That's why every couple have the God-given capacity to find enough toys on each other's body. Now, let me just put the frame a little bit left. What happens, and we have seen that over and over, what happens? We are creatures of habit. And if our sexual stimulation become tied to paraphernalias, we develop habits where we will not be able to be stimulated until this particular object or thing is there. But then we're on the law of diminishing return. What stimulates you now may not stimulate you later. You want something deeper, something different, novelty, which actually causes a lot of couples to slide deeper and deeper into pornography. Now, while we say it's in the privacy of our bedroom and it's in the privacy of our home, I'll tell you what happens to many couples. You can begin to think in terms of even your partner as an object of your lust. We call it objectification, where the body parts is more important than the person. And so we have to be concerned about that. I have found also when it slip and slide into porn, you don't even know. Because what it is self-justifying, because it's pleasurable now. So, should I get a dildo and you have a real penis?
Right.
What was it? Should I get a toy doll?
Right.
Why would you want to go there? Maybe I should need to get an electronic dildo when my husband not there.
Right.
And what we're doing, we are shifting our sense of stimulation from human to objects. And I'm telling you, that is a slippery slope. So I don't necessarily encourage it. I speak strong against pornography in the bedroom. That destroys marriages and destroys persons and individuals. Now, I would stop and ask myself this question. Somebody come ask me, should I get a toy? And I would say, okay. Why? That's the question that needs to be answered. You have to drill it down. Why? Some people are saying, well, my friend tell me. I say, why?
So
I see it on TV. Why?
So let me give you a why for this conversation.
Sure.
Let's say that person is saying that their sexual needs are not being met with the toys that their partner has naturally. May it be how they do it?
I will actually
size?
send them. I will actually send them to your next presenter in the next program.
Okay.
Let her answer that question.
All right, Pastor.
Fair? All right, fair.
All right. So I'll show you up on next one then.
Yes, it's in that pleasure.
Yes.
So that has been a topic in the Christian community to find out if anal oral sex is permitted. This is a question from our previous Ask a Pastor session. Could you kind of elaborate on that?
All right. I need to step back a bit. In stepping back, I think the Christian community, we have been trained to think about ethical, moral, spiritual issues through a black or white lens. And that black or white lens does not facilitate conversations in the gray areas. So I have developed some P's for answering questions like that. The first P is what is permitted. What is permitted is go through the Bible and see what is clearly permitted, what you are allowed to do. I cannot generate that list. You have to do your homework. The second piece, what is prohibited. Go through the Bible and see what is prohibited, what you cannot or should not do. You follow me? The third P is principles. Principles are the universal truths that you can draw from permitted and
prohibited.
And then the fourth one is preferences. Preferences is your own likes and your own tastes, what you like. But preferences must be sanitized by principles, permitted, and prohibited. So having done that now, we're drilling down to the specifics. Permitted. Does the Bible say anything about anal sex? Tell me.
You tell us.
All these Bible people. So the Bible speaks about homosexuality, sodomy, right? Sodomy. So it is male to male. But does it extend to male to female?
Good question.
You see? The Western laws that are constructed initially in the Judeo-Christian ethics also prohibited sodomizing of women. So it was not permitted. So we have to go now to principle, because it's not husband and wife. So could I draw a principle? So in doing universal principles, I could ask the question of, okay, there are principles of health.
Right.
And is anal sex in keeping with the principles of health? The anal walls are so structured to push feces out, and anything that goes in the opposite direction weakens the anal wall. That's why some people develop boils, gut protrusion. The penis have a foreskin, and guess what? Feces, you could wipe your bottom how much you want. Feces remain in that tract, and it's trapped in the. And then men who have sex with men, they are having higher rates of STDs, whereas they don't want to admit that. That is the reality that you are facing. So that from a medical standpoint, there are those who say, well, use KY jelly. Jelly up the thing, make it easy, and so on. I'll tell you this, if you get in the subculture of prostitution, the prostitutes will tell you, which I have read and studied, the prostitute will tell you that the anal walls become weaker and weaker over periods of anal sex. So like if you have a hot tutu when you're running home, you could squeeze your bottom and hold it together. This no longer becomes possible, because you have weakened. And some have to go through surgery to deal with their lower intestine. So it's not something that is necessary on a health principle that's recommended.
I've heard someone said that there's a pleasure gland in the rectum for men.
There's a pleasure gland all over the place, brother.
What do you have to say? To
There are
that?
there are pleasure glands all over. You see, what we do, we use the matter of pleasure as the cart before the horse.
Okay. All right.
On the same argument, I could say there's some pleasure I get from children. And what is the basis so that pleasure cannot be, and when you talk about pleasure, you're talking about hedonism, Hedonism. A hedonistic culture is a culture that is driven by pleasure without necessary concern about consequences of action. Now let me get to oral sex. The jury is still out on oral sex because I've read widely about the Christian authors. On the extreme, you had a guy called Win Woolley, and Win Woolley argued that they are oral sex demons. So when you begin to engage in oral sex, demons begin to live in your lips. You know how Win Woolley come up with that kind of thing? And there are those who believe Win Woolley that demons live in the clitoris of the woman, the lower labia, and the lips of people who try to do oral sex. And when a man or a woman does oral sex, the demon is attached to your lips. So don't ask me to explain Win Woolley.
All right. It's done. Yeah.
On the other hand, years ago, we had a Christian author, a Chase, who wrote about that oral sex may be permissible once both parties in agreement, once there is hygiene, and so on and so forth. And I remember when Chase books came out in Trinidad and Tobago, they were banned by the Christian church. They were banned because how Trevor could be encouraging people to do oral sex. So what research has shown is that there's one case of death with oral sex, and they're not sure what it is. The man during oral sex blew up in the woman, and they were wondering if it creates some oxygen pocket, and she died. And then on the other side, there are those who have been damaged through oral sex, through biting and aggression and all that kind of a story. See, right? Were they biting? I don't know. So then, when I say the jury is still out, it seemed to suggest. You see, I've listened to the arguments, and I can't say that I've wrapped my mind around A or B yet. Because there are those who say no to oral sex on the grounds that homosexuals and these people practice it. No to oral sex because that's what God created the mouth for. And I see the mouth doing all kind of thing, blowing up balloon and thing, and I don't think the mouth is created for that. So there's all kind of argument inside there. And then there are those who argue on the grounds of hygiene because there are certain genital diseases. If you contract it, you know where you get it from through oral sex. And so that is the thing. On the flip side, there are those who say, listen, if both parties agree and it's not tied to pornography and there's mutual consent, because sometimes you may have a case where one person is okay with it and the other person isn't. And then there are cases of blackmail. If you ain't do it, is that the way that we settle our matters with blackmail? So these are some of the dynamics inside there. So I would not evade the question, but I would say I deal with that on a case-by-case basis. A couple come to me, I walk through what is happening there, and so on and so forth. Now, you didn't ask it, but let me swing it into the mix one time, masturbation, because it's an important other aspect. Now, masturbation is defined as taking matters in your own hands. And so you have to understand, it's not always safe to take matters in your own hands, right? Okay, let's move on.
And because we press for time, I'm gonna let my wife ask one more question, and then we'll take a question from our in-studio audience. All right, it's gonna be at 10 more minutes, guys, and we can have this all weekend long, but we have to respect the pastor's time. All right, guys. So we take one more question. Wifey, it's on you.
I want to know, how do you deal with partners having different sex drive? What would you tell them about that? Because we would have one that has a low sex drive and we have one with a high sex drive. How do they ration that and deal with that problem, so to speak, in the bedroom?
Well, it doesn't start in the bedroom.
Yes, we know that. Yes.
All right. Let's start with conception. The primary sexual hormone that shapes our primary sexual characteristics is androgen. So within 3 to 6 months after conception, androgen is at work masculinizing the brain or feminizing the brain. It is said when you do not have enough androgen, it is estrogen. So that one person was a little crap in saying a woman is a biological accident. And I say, oh gosh, no, don't go that. But not enough androgen, estrogen. Now with the woman and the male, we all have these sexual hormones in our bodies. For a woman during her menstrual cycle, she may have an increase in hormonal flow, but it's there. However, for the man, androgen is constantly flowing through his bloodstream. So a man is always sexual, from pastor to convert, always feeling sexual, you know. So when a guy tell you, nah, me ain't feeling sexual, him lie. Or he old, or as Clinton say, he's sick. So your man is not sick for having this drive. So you could talk about this testosterone, one, and androgen, and you combine them, and it's a high sex drive. Now, generally, what happens, people may have what is called a libido. The libido is the drive. You may have a high libido or a low libido. Now, the libido is not that the person is, oh, let me reframe that. Whenever we see a low libido, we sometimes moralize it and say, you're doing this for spite. Snap out of it.
Yeah.
A low libido is in fact a biological disposition. Full stop. Yeah. So not that the person is trying to kill your sex drive or frustrate you. Now, some people could say they have a low libido and they don't. They may use that for an excuse like I have a headache tonight and all that kind of story. Right. So the starting part of the conversation is really, I recommend people in premarital to go do a medical examination and work through some of their plumbing works.
Okay.
Get a sense of your body. Because you're coming into a marriage and your body will be in overdrive. That's one thing. Two, I have to explore if there's any case of sexual abuse in their history as a child. Because that could also affect a person's sexual response. You look through that. Three, I try to work through if there's any religious mistheology inside there. You know, there are some men who say, the woman role is reproduce. God say, and God command, replenish and fill the earth. Just open your leg, woman, let me make sure in. We have all kind of drama inside. I demand in the house, and da. So you have to work through on a case by case also, because you don't need to be moralizing every situation like that. Then age takes on its own toll. So a woman who is advancing years, one of the indicators of menopause, some women have an increased sex drive, some women have a lower sex drive. You see? And it's trying to understand that, or some have none at all. For a man, when he's very, very angry or depressed, or in advanced cases of diabetes, he himself could lose his sex drive, he become impotent, and he cannot function the way he wants to function. Depression and all this kind of thing. So you have to almost work with the couple and find out where they are. The sex therapist will tell you more about that. Work with the couple from time to time and find out where they are. Now, if in fact, remember the 5 areas we talk about: mental, social, If a woman or man is ill-treated in all the other areas, they may not have interest in being sexual with their partner. That's another thing, because they feel like prostitutes. They feel like being used. You just want me for my body. And that also could impact upon their sex drive and their sex thing. The presence of children and not managing child rearing could have you very, very, children, work, home, you're very, very exhausted over a period of time. Do you know the amount of couples fall asleep having sex and they get we do anything last night? Because one piece of underwear halfway off and one halfway on, and you're physically, because if you realize, to enjoy sex, you must really be at peak mentally, emotionally, because it's intentional business. It's like, when you finish that, no. You want to be meaningful in the sexual encounter. So what couples need to do there too is also check themselves and whether they are keeping reserves for their spouse. You can't be walking, tight, and when you reach home, I have to be thinking that sex, because sex could get you all tired and weary too.
Yes.
And so you have to be at your best, physically, mentally, spiritually, socially, to really enjoy the sexual experience. And I just simply say, low libido, low sex drive. There are a variety of reasons that might have contributed to a person's sexual experience or drive or even interest.
Before we take the question from our live audience in the back, tell us how important sex is in a marriage.
Well, that's a close-ended question because you've already answered it. Tell us how important it is.
No, some people don't think it's that important.
All right.
We living together, we good, we taking care of the kids, and they don't see that as important in their relationship.
What happens is that God has arranged it, and I say God because I'm a believer, God has arranged it by wiring the human being with a principle called the pleasure principle. Now, you ask a simple question, but I have to go back and come forward, right? There are two general principles that's governing human behavior: the homeostasis principle and the pleasure principle. Homeostasis have to do with balance, and they are by and large survival. So, for example, when you don't get enough sleep, your homeostasis, your balance goes off. When you don't get enough food, your balance goes off. When you don't get water, your balance goes off. When you don't get air, your balance, see? And what the body does, the body has its own regulatory devices. So it's hot, we begin to perspire.
Yeah.
It's cold, we begin to shiver. Yeah. That means the homeostasis is off.
Right.
We are hungry, our belly begin to growl, we begin to get headache. Right. So the body tells you, get back a middle. Get back a middle. You don't have enough sleep, you feel disoriented, crabby, bitchy, and you need to get back sleep. So look at this. Food, air, so all these are under the homeostasis principle. The only drive that's not under the homeostasis principle is sex.
All right.
And the Creator arranged it like that. Because if you don't get enough water, what will happen?
Get to sleep.
No, the extreme.
Right?
You die.
Die, yeah.
If you don't get air, after a while, what happened?
Yeah, die.
Sleep.
You
Too hot, too cold.
Yeah. Right?
No sex. You're gonna live.
Some people might
You're gonna live. You're gonna live.
Some people
You will live.
Yeah.
So sex is not important for personal survival, but survival of the species, the human family. Without sex, the human species will die because it's a reproductive. So sex is there then, not just simply for reproduction, but also for mental and emotional peace and tranquility. So some people say, I'll go mad if I don't get it.
Yes.
Because what your greatest sex organ is not your genitals, your greatest sex organ is your brain. Because it's the brain that is responsible for the releasing of all of the chemicals in your body to facilitate peace, tranquility, recreation. So dopamine is released during an orgasm. That is that chemical that make you feel sweet, to talk in tongues. Mommy, daddy, yes. No, come, go. How you talking all kind of stupidness? That's dopamine. But after the sexual experience and you have an orgasmic ejaculation, women have ejaculation also, prolactin kicks in. What prolactin does, it is the saturation chemical to tell you had enough. Cool yourself. Relax now. Go and sleep.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
But then another chemical is released, is endorphins.
Yeah.
Endorphins is like the tranquilizer of sex. So you feel, oh God, nice, sweet, And then oxytocin is released to give you that nice, cuddly, just hold me, that kind of night. That's actually chemicals being released into your bloodstream. So whether it's oxytocin, endorphins, prolactin, or dopamine, it's released into your bloodstream. So the importance of sex then is really, it's a distressor. Apart from procreation, it's a distressor to bring relaxation. That's why you have sex addicts. They're not addicted to necessarily the penis vagina.
Yeah,
what they're addicted to is the chemicals being released into their bloodstream. And so when you are hooked on porn, you're causing your brain to be in overdrive to release the dopamine and delta force B and so on into your bloodstream. So without sex, mentally, emotionally, and otherwise, you can be very irritable in the marriage because God has given it as part of that recreative, relaxing. Now, oxytocin, that chemical that causes the bonding, it's really released a lot of time with close bonding friendships.
Okay.
And the best friendship then, in that context, is actually marriage.
Yeah.
Where you begin to get bond. Now, if the other areas in life is not where it should be, you could see how it could impact your mental alertness and your relaxation in terms of sex and sexuality. I need to swing this in very quickly because I know we're wrapping up. What happens with dopamine? Just before sex, that explosive thing that you're feeling, your dopamine level is very high. And after there's an orgasm, it drops. That's the prolactin. Now, once you are young and youthful, it shoots back up in no time. And you can have 3, 4, 5 wrongs a night. Because you're youthful. Then you grow older 3, 4 times a week. Then 3, 4 times a month. Then twice a year. And then you just watch on the calendar.
Wow.
Right? But here's an important point. There's something called the Coolidge effect. What I've discovered is that whenever novelty and newness is introduced into the marriage and the sex bed, your dopamine level goes back up very quickly. Why is it called the Coolidge effect? It is alleged that one of the presidents of the US, President Coolidge, and his wife, they were on a farm doing a tour. 2 parties, the wife with one party and the president. And the farmer had the president's wife first, and passing by a rooster, and the farmer says, "Madam Coolidge, you see that rooster? It's copulating whole day." She said, "Whole day having sex?" He said, "Yes." So Mrs. Coolidge said, "Tell President Coolidge that for me, please." All right? So when they switch parties now, the president now with the farmer, and he says, "President Coolidge, you see that rooster copulating whole day? And I don't know your wife, tell me to tell you that." And the president say, "Is it with the same hen?"
Wow.
Oh, boy. Yeah,
And the farmer says, "No, President Coolidge." He say, "Go and tell Mrs. Coolidge that."
Good one.
Right?
Good one, Pa.
So that became known as the Coolidge
Coolidge
effect,
effect.
and was
Right.
done also with lab rats and so on. So you had sex, the dopamine drops. Once you bring in a new female, it shoots up again. You copulate, you ejaculate, you remove that female, you bring another one, dopamine shoots up again. Now, there are certain talk show hosts, I was listening to them, they're saying, well, you know what? That is why we need infidelity. That is why we need pornography. Because what happens with the porn addict? He has, and she has, multiple options of newness to keep his dopamine high. You see, because if you notice what happens, when you don't have sex for a long time, the first orgasm is explosive. Pow, 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 like starlight.
Mine's in song so, but
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the next sexual experience is not as explosive. And then the next one is because the body is saying, "You had enough. Cool it. Regroup, regroup, regroup." But if something novel or new is introduced,
We back up.
it back up.
Back up.
So it is really a statement for married people.
Yeah.
Not to turn to porn, but not to make their sex life boring. Same thing over and over and over. Oh gosh, do it on the fridge, do it on the stove, under the bed,
fridge. Okay.
somewhere about the place, man. The same old half
boy.
there, limpy sex just wouldn't do.
Yes.
So you have to keep your man interested, you have to keep your woman interested by finding different ways and means. We call it variety is the spice of life.
Well,
All right, good.
Pastor Ton. I don't know if we have time to take this studio question. Studio audience. Anything? Nah, they're very full with information right now. So, I'd like to thank Pastor Dan Hamilton. Can you give us, the audience, where we can reach you, where they could come for your services, what church they could tune in on Zoom, where they could get you at?
Well, I think let them use your number and life coach.
Okay.
That's not a problem with
That
me.
is great.
Because
sir.
everything is a little oversubscribed at this time. Yeah.
Everybody wants to get on.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm just.
Okay, all right.
I don't want to bite off more than.
Than
So
it is.
what actually happens is that people text me. I tell them text me, and it's forwarded to the office, and the office schedules appointment. I try not to manage that kind of traffic.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
you guys manage the traffic.
All right.
No problem. So
Right.
guys, you can see all the information on our bio. All right. So we want to thank Pastor Dodd very much. And also, with this kind of content, guys, I need you guys to share, please. Send it to a friend, help out a couple, help out your parents, help out whoever. Share it, like it, and give us that support. And I want to see all the comments. So I come to look at all the comments. So bring it in. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. The Life Coach.
So some persons they don't like. No, baby, not so. Go so. No. Nah. Stop. Move higher. No, higher. Longer. Go. Yeah.
Right,
Some
right,
people
yeah.
find that is very distracting.
Yeah.
But there are things that you can do that is actually non-verbal. So you can move your partner's hand. So for example, if you find, not you, but if
Yeah.
you find that if you find that your husband is really excited and he's really ready to touch your vulva, but mentally and physically you're not there yet, you can just gently move his hand away, or you can position your body in a different way.
Yo, I know this was a jam-packed session, 2 episodes of real information. Hey, we want to thank Pastor Don Hamilton for coming through and laying it all out. You understand? And hear what? We have somebody coming up just now, but I want to take the takeaways from Pastor Don own boy. You see, all now I don't realize I had to talk to my son as a parent about sex and sexuality as well too. And oh gosh, be intentional about what you're telling them. This thing about Toto, I mean, that mashed me up one. The right body names, we need to tell our children about it. And then, the last episode, being intentional with your wife. Oh gosh, not only when you want something, you call the woman baby and try to sweet talk she fit. We had to be intentional, make sure every day you do this thing. And then, as he say, the living room is a spot too, you know. The bedroom nice, but the living room is a spot, the kitchen is a spot, the laundry is a spot as well. I mean, you do your thing, make sure you keep it nice in the family as well too, you know, spice the thing up a little bit. And then, next episode coming up, we're still dealing with the same thing, you know, skin to skin, but this time we're having a sex therapist with us, Miss Rebecca Beckles, and I'm telling all you don't want to miss it. Hey, we want to say thanks to all the sponsors as well too. Love Moments Events, Ring Films, our biggest sponsor so far, Jesus Life Center. Don't forget they're celebrating 75 years anniversary this year. So hit the pages, like, subscribe, share, comment. Come on now. And if you want to be if you want to get in on this, just hit us up in our IG or any one of the pages. Just let us know. Comment and contact us, and we'll get back to you, because it's Life Coach.